Hi guys, how you going? Welcome back to another episode of James Garage. Today I'll be doing an engine inspection on my new RB25 that I purchased secondhand out of a R33 with 140,000 kilometers on it. And I got the engine with the block and the head separated. When I got the engine, the guy said that the engine was apart because he did a head gasket, and most people have asked me, do you know if the engine got hot or whatnot? I don't know if the engine got hot. I thought it'd be wise to just do an engine teardown and inspect everything. I know when I did my last video about the RB, I said I'd be taking the engine to an engine shop and getting it inspected and getting it all put together at an engine shop and taking you guys through that. But sadly, when I rung around, I was getting quoted around four and a half grand just to get the engine, like the engine pulled apart, cleaned up, and then put back together. And I just don't have that kind of money at the moment, so I'm just trying to do what I can myself and yeah, go from there. So yeah, the head's at a head cylinder shop here in Brisbane, and got about a week's wait on that, and I've ordered a fair amount of parts from Golby's and High Octane, and just waiting on some parts from Golby's that they have on back order, so they're like 2 weeks away, which it sucks a little bit, but I think that's just what's the go with. I think that's just how stuff is with the moment. I think that's just how stuff is at the moment with Corona and stuff like that, so not that upset. It's going to get here eventually, and it gives me more time to think about how I want to do everything and plan everything out. So yeah, keen as to get into it today, and hope you guys are excited. All I'm using on my engine today to clean it is just a bit of brake cleaner. I don't want to go anything too heavy on the engine because you don't want to like any chemicals that, you know, will damage the metal or anything like that. So just sprayed a bit of brake cleaner on my sump, and you can see how bloody filthy it is. She's pretty dirty, so give that a clean up and get the sump off. So I've just taken the sump off, and you can see in the oil that it's looks a bit white, a bit clear. I don't know if when the engine's been opened, if stuff just got in there, but the engine has been sitting pulled apart, like just the block and the head separate, so you don't know if something's got in there or what the go is, but yeah, we'll have a bit of a further look, eh? So a couple of things if you're doing this at home, guys. Before, when I said I was using brake cleaner on the engine, it's just to clean it. Like, you don't want to go crazy with it, and if you're using a ratchet on the crankshaft to turn the crankshaft over, which would then send the con rods and pistons up and down, you don't want to do it too much either, because obviously the engine's dry, it has no oil in it, and there's also no lubricant or anything in the bores, which can then further cause damage to your bores and scratch them, or yeah, just wreck your engine. So don't do that too much. I've only just done it a couple times, turn the crankshaft so I can get each cylinder, each bore nice and clear, just to try and give it a tidy up, and just have a further inspection of each bore. So after doing that and giving them a bit of a tidy up, they all look, the front four look pretty decent. I'll show you quickly, and but cylinder 5 and 6, more 6 looks a bit, how you going? There is a fair bit of I don't know if it's like surface rust, but it does look like it's scratched a little bit. So yeah, that's not good. Cylinder 5 is nowhere as bad as cylinder 6, but still it's not as nice as like cylinder 1 and 2. Or I'll just turn this again, and if we have a look at cylinder 3 and 4, there is a bit of rot in there still. I fully haven't cleaned them out, but they are a lot nicer than cylinder 5 and 6. You can also tell when you're doing something like this, and just having a feel of the actual surface in the bore. They should be very smooth, obviously, and where this one here, you can tell that it's a little bit scratched up and has a little bit of surface rust on it. And cylinder 5 is a bit it's a bit iffy. So from here, the next step would be I'm gonna have to pull this engine apart and take the pistons and everything out, and decide whether I want to have a go at honing these bores myself, or take it to engine machine shop and get them to work their magic on it. So that's the next step there, and yeah, now I'll be taking you guys through the process of what I'm going to do to strip the engine and get everything apart, so we can decide where to go from there. So first things first, this is your oil pickup here. Going to remove that, and then these are your main caps. So I'm going to undo all these bolts here, remove that, and then from there I'll go and do all the big end caps on the bottom of the conrods, and remove that and take each piston and conrod out one by one. And it's really important when you're doing all this that you keep everything in order and the same. So I'm going to put everything to the side nicely at the workshop here, just at work, staying back after work and working on the engine. So not sure how far I'm going to get tonight, but yeah, I'll take you guys through that whole process. What I've done here, when I've got the main cap fully off, so that's done, and now I'm going through and doing each piston one by one. So this is your piston. So you got your pistons, this part here, and that's your conrod. I remember for ages, for years, I thought that this whole assembly was just the piston. I thought I knew heaps about cars, but I was going around calling this whole thing a piston. It wasn't until I started you know, working on cars a bit more, and you know, getting to do more with engines, I found out that that's the conrod and that's the piston. So yeah, and then inside your piston you've got your big end bearings. So that's this part here. This is the big end bearing, which sits inside the end of the conrod. So when you open up an engine and you take your pistons out, if the inside of these bearings are damaged, it's terrible. It's not what you want. It means that the linear on the crankshaft is being damaged, or it's scratched. So the linear of the crankshaft is this part here, and if you scratch that or anything, so what happens is oil goes through your engine, through all the oil galleries, goes into your crankshaft and then comes out this little hole here, which then acts as a lubricant on the big end bearings. So if there's any scratches or any damage on this linisher here at all, it damages the big end bearing, which will then cause friction between the conrod and the crankshaft, which will then affect your performance, which can then lead to further engine damage or engine failure. So what I've done what I've done while I'm taking out these pistons and conrods, I've just put a bit of like pretty solid rubber hose on the shaft of the conrods of these bolt shafts, so that when I'm taking them out and pushing them out, it doesn't scratch the linisher at all and cause any damage to my crankshaft. So yeah, that's pretty hot tip on that one, guys, if you're taking pistons and conrods out of your engine. Also, in your big end caps and in your conrods, this is your big end bearing. So on one side of the bearing, it's got a little ridge on it like that, and if you look on the big end cap, it's also got a little a little slot there for that ridge to sit in, so you know which direction the big end bearings need to sit in and how they sit in the big end cap. Cheers, bro. Alright, so I just got the 6th piston and conrod out of the engine, and that 6th bore was the one that had like a fair bit of surface rust and was fairly scratched up and everything, that I'm fairly concerned about. And if you have a look at this piston, it's well and truly cooked. Like, it's pretty much bin spec, to be honest. So not going to be able to use this again. If you have a look at these rings, so this is the 6th ring. I'll show you up nice and close. You can see that all the rings, they're like the same shape as the piston, and there's like no ring gap around the whole thing. She's definitely seen better days. So out of comparison, this is the 6th cylinder piston, and this is the 1st cylinder piston and conrod, and you can see here that there's massive gaps in the rings. You can actually physically see the ring gaps there. These ones are maybe just a fraction big, but yeah, that's a good looking piston and conrod with good looking rings. So what you have with your rings is these two here are sealant rings, and then this bottom ring here is your oil ring. So what happens is, when the piston and conrod go up in the cylinder or the bore, oil goes up into the cylinder and then goes to this oil ring, and then these sealant rings, when it comes back down in the cylinder, clear out all that oil and everything, and so on, continuous motion. So pretty much looking like these pistons and conrods are going to have to go in the bin. Definitely this 6th cylinder one anyway. Not too sure what I'm going to do there, because I do have I do have 5 conrods and pistons that are good from my other block, which has the hole in it, because it was only the 6th cylinder conrod that went. So there is that possibility, but I'm actually, now that I say that, I'm not quite certain that you can use a different cylinder piston and conrod. Like, they have to be in order, so I'm not sure if I can do that or not. I'm gonna have to talk to someone that knows a bit more than me. I'm not like a qualified mechanic or anything like that. I know a little bit. I'm learning with you guys as I go, so yeah, I'm gonna have to do a bit of further research into that and figure out what I can do. But it's looking like I'm gonna have to get some new pistons and conrods and get this block machined and by a professional. So yeah, gonna go home tonight and have a hard think about what I want to do next with this. Hasn't been the best inspection and teardown I was expecting for an engine I just bought, but you know, that's all part of the game. So yeah, let me know what you guys think I should do in the comments, and yeah, it's probably going to be it for tonight, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. Just got home from shooting that video and realised on the drive home that when I was shooting that video and I was pointing to the crankshaft and I was calling the surface on the crankshaft linisher. They're not linishers, they're journals, that part on the crankshaft where the conrod connects to the crankshaft and clips on. So yeah, pretty embarrassing, but that's all part of it, I guess.